You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
Well, that's right, Moto fans. This is episode 168 of the AlwaysMoto podcast, proudly presented by TechnicMotorsport.com. I'm your host, David Hogan, the Australian physiotherapist that knows the injuries and fitness needs of our sport of motocross and supercross. And as always, on the AlwaysMoto podcast, we go through everything and anything moto because it's always about moto here on the AlwaysMoto network. This week's show, it's a massive show because it's the AusXopen this week in Marvel Stadium down in Melbourne this weekend. The Lawrences are in town. That must mean it's a big event on the horizon. And we've got, as always, the contractor, Ben Grinly, on the line with us. He's joining us right here. There he is on screen. Benny, it's AusXopen time, mate. It must mean we've got a big weekend ahead.
Yes, very big weekend, starting on Friday, right through Saturday. Everyone should be excited. It's going to be pretty big.
It should be pretty big from everything that happened last year. Yes, we've got a few different international riders coming along, well, not coming along this time that we had last time, but we still got the two main draw cards in Hunter and Jet Lawrence, and that should mean that we get 30, maybe 40 plus thousand again into Marvel Stadium, which will be another amazing night of Australian Supercross if that is how it pans out. So we'll have to report back on that side of things after the weekend. But we've got plenty to look forward to, plenty to talk about in terms of tracks, in terms of the series itself, the Australian Supercross series and how it's going as well. But before we get to all of that, we've got to thank obviously the people that's supporting us, and that's TechnicMotorsport.com. Duramoose, we've got the Duramoose fitted up. I've ridden on them. I've got the video done. I've got to just get the podcast with Peter from Outdoor Primal, who is the Australian importer, designer of the Duramooses, on the line to do a podcast, and we'll be able to get that content out. So pretty excited about that. But remember, there is a discount code available for the Duramooses to get 10% off. You've got to find that in our show notes or in our bio links on the social, and that'll help you out with there. So save on your mooses, get a 10% discount. Also, Pivot Pegs with a Z, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech 167 3D printing for the show support. Don't forget, we've got our t-shirts. We've got these AlwaysMoto t-shirts, $25 plus postage and handling. We can get you one of those shirts. You just need to email us at info@alwaysmoto.com and we can get one sent out to you. Payments via PayPal. Maybe you don't want a shirt, Benny. I haven't said this one for a while, actually, but you should remember this. Maybe you just don't like wearing shirts and you're too sexy for your shirt. Maybe you just want to make a donation to keep the support of the show going here. You can do that via PayPal as well. You don't have to buy a shirt. You can just donate instead because maybe, like I said, you are just too sexy for your shirt. Benny, keep your shirt on, please. It's a PG-rated show.
Yep, it's staying on, don't worry.
Yeah. All right,
we need viewers, not scare them away.
Good point. All right, but to find out all those supporters, the discount codes and more, follow our links in the show notes, like I mentioned before, or the bio, the links via the bio on the social pages, and that'll get you into it. All right, Benny, let's get in with the good stuff now. AusXopen this weekend, Marvel Stadium. It's only a single night of racing, so it's just a Saturday night event this year. There's no double ups in terms of we're not doing any World Supercross things. That link is all gone. We're not doing an Australian Supercross one night or a double header. It's purely AusXopen. It is technically round 4 of the Australian Supercross Championship, but it's a traditional format too this year. It's not a Triple Crown. It's just a 2-moto format that we've been doing for these Supercrosses throughout this series of the Australian series so far. I am looking forward to this for that reason alone, but also the fact that we do have Jet and Hunter in town, obviously.
Yeah, it makes a big difference when Jet and Hunter come back. Bigger, like a lot more people in the stadium, which creates a lot different atmosphere. Cronulla was pretty packed, but there's nothing like a packed Marvel. for a lot of people that have been, if anyone's been to the footy and it's fully packed and, Friday night, the atmosphere is brilliant. When the Supercross comes in on a Saturday night, it's just pretty much about the same. So when those Lawrence boys rolled out last year for that first time and the crowd went nuts, it was pretty loud in there.
Yeah, that moment particularly. I don't know if you saw the social post I put up today, actually, I think it was, with that audio that I got from Hunter when I was at Redbud Press Day this year about that exact moment, and both him and Jet, that he said, they can think back to that moment when they rolled in and the crowd going wild. For them and them alone, that still gives them that tingle down the spine whenever they think about it. So that was a pretty cool moment in time itself. Let's see if it gets recreated again, because they've done basically exactly the same thing as they did last year, this year, in terms of, SMX championships, motocross champion for Jet, motocross of nations champions for Australia for the two of them, and Kyle Webster. It doesn't get much better what they're doing at the moment, and then to come home again. Yeah, it's not quite the first time back like it was last year, but man, they've done it all again, and hopefully there's a slightly different, bigger crowd here this weekend. Hopefully we can get a similar response, because that was pretty sweet last year.
Yeah, everything, they've, pretty much duplicated it, like you said. There'll probably be a lot of people that didn't go last year that will probably turn up this year. And then when, you have the Fan Fest and stuff on Friday, it just giving people the access to the brothers is, that's what the fans want, and that's what makes the experience 10 times better.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that Fan Fest times and stuff later on in the show here. We've got, I've got that information to try and give to everybody so that we can, see when you want to turn up, because they've got that Friday event with that free Fan Fest as well, that you don't need a ticket for. You can just rock up to around the stadium and check that out. So that is really cool that they've got that going on, but we'll give you times and stuff for that later on in the show. Now, talking about the Lawrences and obviously this AusX, they are the draw card for this round. Now, I had a bit of a crazy thought during the week as I was thinking about, what we're going to say and what we're talking about this weekend via the show. And I got thinking that because of some of the American media that I heard after Paris round, where they're saying that next year, in terms of this window, the Lawrences are potentially not going to do any off-season races. So no Paris, no AusXopen, no World Supercross, if that was potentially on the cards or anything like that. They're going to take that off-season period off for a change. I wonder then, if we get a massive roll-up again this year for AusXopen, which we expect we will, what does 2026 look like crowd-wise without the Lawrences in tow? Do we still get 30, 40,000, or do we go back to what ends up being a regular Australian round and we only get 15, 20 in that venue, and then we feel like the place is empty? Or do they have to spend a whole hell of a lot of money and get a Cooper, a Ken, Eli, or 4 or 5 of them to replace and draw card in what the Lawrences have done for the following years if they don't attend?
I think you sort of go back to when we had AusX and World Supercross. The Friday night was obviously Australian Supercross. Friday night's not ideal for some people, but you probably got 10 to 15 then without any major draw card. You had Dino, I think Savacci not that year, but just a few riders that we had. And then obviously then you bring the Lawrences in and it's a Saturday night, it's on its own, and it becomes massive. I think, Cole Davies misses out this year because he's injured. Julian Beaumare's injured as well. They might look to come next year. But yeah, if Jet and Hunter don't come, then I think they're going to have to expand and get those types of riders in. Otherwise, we're going to end up with probably the same numbers as that Friday night round. Yeah,
it's just in the back of my mind that what are they going to do to bring in the same sort of crowd? Because obviously Marvel is a much bigger footprint in terms of the ground space, the financial aspects to bring the dirt into the city of Melbourne and out of that venue, and so the rental costs, the dirt costs, all that sort of stuff that goes along with that stadium are much, much higher than, say, a Cronulla, or even like go to Redcliffs. It's massively different. I would hazard a guess at that one easily. So yeah, do they still cover their expenses? Because I would have a guess at saying that this one event for Australian Supercross, as in AME, might be the one that floats the whole thing along to some degree, because of that massive kick that they would get from a sponsorship, from a publicity point of view, and from a ticket sales point of view. I did some maths, Benny, earlier today. They were advertising some tickets at $49 that were still remaining for Marvel. So if you do need a ticket, there are still some available, obviously not many. But even if you went at that lowest ticket price of $49, if you did 40,000 tickets, it's $2 million in ticket sales just at that lowest ticket price. So they're making a fair coin out of it if they're just even going off that base ticket price, which obviously there's more higher price seats than that they're selling throughout the rest of it. So yeah, they're obviously making a decent amount off ticket sales at this one particular race.
Yeah, well, I had a look yesterday. I had some mates asking me if there was any tickets left and, sort of how much. And I jumped on and had a look, and there was a fair few VIP ones left, and they're about $180, $190. And then like for a level 3 up near the roof, they were coming in at 110. So even those seats are pulling a fair bit of money. So I'd say obviously this would be the biggest ticket sale event, but you're right, that would probably cover a lot of the series.
Yeah, it definitely would. But yeah, like you said before about in terms of those other couple of guys that are missing, unfortunately, as much as they made some big announcements throughout the year leading up to this event, it seems to happen more often than not that some of the names, not always, but some of the names that they announced never actually end up being here. Julian Beaumaire, Cole Davies, unfortunately, injuries in SMX have ruled them out of this particular attendance. Yeah, they probably try and make next year. It's probably written in a contract somewhere that they've committed to at least 1 year of this, whether it be the year they signed on for, but if there's injury, well, then the next or the year after sort of thing to try and honour that arrangement. But it just seems to be such a problematic thing that they always seem to have this. I even go back to when was that? It would have been like 2010 or something. Queensland round at, I think it was Q West or whatever they call it, that athletics track up there in Brisbane area. And James Stewart was meant to be there. And he never ended up being there. They ended up having to get Josh Grant to come out. And then Josh Grant didn't end up riding the main program. He pulled out partway through the day too. These names get thrown around, but in some cases, they never make it here, which is disappointing for the Aussie fans. But we're going to have to get probably I reckon 6 or more of those sorts of level names to get tickets purchased for next year's one. If in fact that rumour about the Lawrences not doing off-season events is true. Yeah,
and I think with the event, the last 2 years has obviously been pretty big. And riders are probably looking at this event over the weekend to see what it's like, and then possibly putting the feelers out for the end of the year. With seeing how big it is, that probably has an impression on some of the riders that they want to come over, but then it's just making those deals happen that could be where it gets stopped. So there might be a heap of people that wanted to come, but the terms and conditions just couldn't be met. But that's all background stuff that we're not, we don't know.
Look at you sounding all professional. Terms and conditions of a contract. Jesus, where'd you go to school, mate?
Out here in the bush.
Yeah. They did something right with your schooling. That's cool. No, look, so then on that too, other riders and stuff, normally we do our emergency department updates. Surprisingly, the season for the Australian Supercross has been pretty light on the injury aspect. Yes, there was a couple at KO. Yes, there was one for like Luke Zielinski at Cronulla, and I've checked in with Luke. Unfortunately, he's not going to make the rest of the season. Just he tried to ride this week and he's too painful. But generally speaking, there's nothing to talk about in that area. So that's a positive for the series. Things are going really nicely on that aspect. So we don't have too many missing. The one that I haven't seen any confirmation on yet, and I've tried to reach out to him before the show here tonight, but haven't actually got a response yet, which is fine. I didn't leave much window for that. But Nate Crawford, Benny, you haven't seen anything on him yet about officially being back? He's been out missing those first 3 rounds. I would have think by now, if it was just a bone bruise to his foot, as he said, he's riding out for opening ceremonies. He's at round 1, 2 and 3. Surely we can get him on track for round 4 by now.
Yeah, well, there was talk of him coming in at Melbourne, but I haven't seen anything official this week. Usually it always happens when we finish recording this.
Yeah.
So probably look out for it tomorrow. But yeah, no, I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, look, it is Wednesday night, Aussie time, so we are only really 24 hours away from everything getting real important here. Obviously, Friday is when press day goes on, and those final little things we'll be able to find out some of that details. But yeah, as of the moment, not sure on Nathan Crawford's status. But the one that is back, and we knew he was going to be back for this round, Shane McElrath is back for the Quad Lock Honda team here with Urive in Australia to do his Australian round, run that number 1 plate around in the 250 class. He is out of the points after a shocking, what was that, round 1, 2, but and obviously missing round 3 due to the World Supercross double up. But yeah, McElrath will be back. So at least that's going to throw some spice into the SX2 class that Lux Turner is currently killing it in. But he'll throw a spanner in the mix between Lux and Ryder Kingsford at least.
Yeah, and I'd say coming off, the World Supercross results weren't too bad on the weekend. So he might be a little bit better now on the 250 as we talked about last week. Not really gelling with it. It seems to not have gone well. But after the World Supercross results, I reckon, and being in Marvel and the big stadium and probably some good vibes from last year, that could be in his mind, and he could come out and just win the night. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes up against Lux.
While we're talking about Shane and World Supercross and stuff, one, obviously Max Anstey's been killing it over there, but there is a bit of a difference, I think, that you're starting to see. One, Shane hasn't been having a great run on the 250 since stepping back down. He's just got to get himself familiar because he's been battling, especially last round. I think it was Cody Schock and Cullen Park were getting in there a little bit with him in some of those races. But the gap between Shane when Shane's on at the moment and Max Anstey is still quite significant. And I think you're seeing that difference in machinery that Max has got now with Star Racing Yamaha versus what Max was previously on and what Shane is now on in terms of Quad Lock Honda. Nothing against Quad Lock Honda. I think they're quite capable, but I think there's still a little bit of an equipment gap, resource gap, testing budget gap that they just can't quite bridge. And you're seeing that with Anstey's, dominant. He's undefeated so far for World Supercross. So, yeah, I think that's what we're seeing there. But that won't be an issue at AusXopen for Shane McElrath because there'll be nobody of that level in SX2.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see after, seen on socials, Lux Turner went back to America and been riding with the new team. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back and, adapts back to his bike that he's been racing. And then, like we said, Shane at Marvel back on at least he's on a familiar bike. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully the racing's close and the fans get their money worth.
I'd be really curious to get a chance to chat with Lux this weekend at how different. Obviously, he's only just got onto that Bar-X Yamaha team, but how different the motors and the equipment in terms of the componentry for the suspension availability is for his American team versus the Australian team, because the Australian team down here with the Yamaha Australia, it's basically the factory level. They have access to those, fancy KYB parts, and I dare say they have some pretty good Yamaha engine componentry, GYTR and other trick pieces. I wonder if Bar-X has similar or different, but that ends up, put a few different parts in, but end up coming out with the same horsepower, same power, feel as such. So, yeah, I'd be curious to know what that difference is, because it just, Bar-X doesn't strike me as getting heaps of factory support. Maybe I'm wrong. But, yeah, just whether the Australian bike's actually better or not, I'd be quite interested to hear that from him direct.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And it'd be interesting to see if he's now ridden that bike and come back to this bike, and whether he's actually changed anything that he probably didn't think about changing before he left. So that'd be an interesting question too. Yeah,
I reckon he's going to be actually even better than he has been so far. Like, he didn't really get much time on that Yamaha before the season started. I think it was like less than 2 weeks, and that wouldn't have been 2 weeks of riding. That would have been like getting jet lagged and trying to get into it. But now he's had that other time with his own team and now back again. I feel like he'd be even better, which is a scary prospect considering that he's already, 20-something points, 26 points up on Ryder Kingsford, his teammate in the championship. As much as that, he's got a big gap there. Of all the championships that we've got running, I think he's actually the smallest lead gap at the front, from SX1 to SX3 as well. I'm just trying to check out. Yeah, but like SX3 is only run single round points, so it's a bit tighter. So it's a bit of a misnomer. But yeah, his is the tightest championship, but you wouldn't have picked it so far from the way he's been riding.
No, and just his confidence when he gets off the bike and he's at the podium. You can just, in the interviews, you can tell. So I'd say there'd probably be a bit more of that. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how Kingsford, we sort of said he needs to step up, and he did last round. So it'd be interesting to see how much further he can go this year. This round, sorry.
Yeah, he's had that couple of weeks now. Obviously, Lux went back to the States and would have lost a couple of days in jet lag and flying, going forward and back. Yeah, he would have got some decent training in, but I feel like Kingsford could have had the best opportunity to progress here from not having to do all that flying, being in his own environment straight away. So if Ryder doesn't step up and maybe steal a couple of wins away in the next few rides here, it's all over, really, isn't it? Like I said about the points gap, he's already got a race itself. Like, obviously the races are scored individually for points, and there's 2 a night. So, but he's got at least one of those already up his sleeve as Lux Turner. So, yeah, Ryder Kingsford's got to make a big step here. I feel like he's got the opportunity. He had the time to do so. Does he actually do so? We'll find out in Marvel, won't we?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk SX1 here, because that's obviously the interesting one. We're going to drop 2 Lawrence brothers into the mix here. But given that the boys are coming into the town with just what they can carry in their luggage, essentially. So, a couple of forks and shocks will be in the mechanics luggage, maybe a pipe, maybe some bars, maybe some foot pegs, maybe a get data, logger, ECU on the bike. But I wouldn't think there's too much else in those luggages, right? Like, they're not going to have their fancy frames. Maybe they do because Uriev's pretty hooked up and they might have something here. But they're not having those factory motors. They didn't run this stuff at Paris on the weekend either. And they weren't, I wouldn't say they were the Lawrences that you would expect to see either in Paris. But does Dino, we talked about this the other day, I said that like maybe Dino had a chance of running the table if it wasn't for the Lawrences coming down to AusXopen. Given the performance of the Lawrences at Paris, and that, Hunter is potentially a little bit beat up after trying to put a foot peg through his helmet, is Dino actually a chance of taking this one away in Marvel and upsetting 2 Lawrences?
Well, he battled Hunter right to the death last year, if you cast your mind back.
And that was injured or ill or something, wasn't it? Dino was.
He wasn't great. But I actually got asked a question so last year the Lawrences took their proper bikes to Paris and just rode off the shelf ones here.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got asked yesterday whether it was the opposite this year, whether they'd actually sent the proper ones here. And I said, I don't know. I said, I haven't heard anything. That'll be a weekend thing. You won't find that out till then. But I'd say it'd just be what you said. a few parts in the bag and hopefully some spare parts this time in case Jet crashes again.
Yeah, that was embarrassing last time. He had a little ding in the exhaust cap, and yeah, that was it, because they didn't have another Yoshimura pipe to put on the bike, and they can't be seen to run anything else. Which I get. There's contracts involved, but geez, that was a tough one to have him sit out of when everybody wanted to see Jet riding. Whether he was in third or fourth, they just wanted to see him on track, because we don't get to see him as an Australian fan in person like that very often, if at all. So yeah, that was rough. But
and I think for us too, I mean, we're lucky because we get to go in and we see more of him through the day on track. But for the fans' point of view, what was it? One race? 2 races, a few laps, not even.
Well, heat race, and what was it, partway through the second Triple Crown, wasn't it, that he went down? Or was it the first second Triple Crown, I think it was. So not much.
Barely any time for the fans. So, hopefully we've sorted that out. But, I think Dino's on a mission right now. And, with his proper bike and everything that he's got, it'll be interesting to see, especially with his starts. He's been pretty good at those. So as long as he's got them dialed in, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Well,
yeah, let's flip back a little bit too, because we both didn't pick him as a championship contender or winner at the start of our season here in our preview show for Australian Supercross, because we were worried about how he was coming in preparation-wise from a few injuries that he was dealing with through the end of Super Motocross series there. But since he's hit Australian soil, and obviously he's had some family, in terms of losing his mum, he's had some mental challenges there. None of it has seemed to affect his on-track performance so far. He has been on another level compared to everybody else. Even some off-track excursions, on opening laps, getting bumped off the track because of just poor starts in Redcliffe, didn't affect him. He was able just to ride past everybody, and like that Whoop Speed video that I put up and pinned to my socials, he's just on another level. And I did not expect to see this out of Dean Wilson this year. But that's what makes me question. I think he might be a chance at beating the Lawrences in Melbourne, and that would be an absolute turn up. Not saying he can't do it, he shouldn't do it. I'm just be surprised at where he came from after that issues through SMX to potentially beating him. It'd be a massive effort and tip the cap to him if he pulls it off.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone would complain. Dino's got plenty of fans, and I'd say that Urive would be happy. That's for sure. But there'd be a lot of people that would be happy if if he did one clean sweep the whole series, but 2 to come out and beat the brothers. That'd be pretty good too.
Well, the next part of this story in SX1 is that Dino already has a 30-point lead in the championship with 2 rounds to go. So he's actually 30 points up on his teammate Cedric Subaros, and then he's actually 51 points up on third position, which is the privateer. An amazing job to him, Hayden Melross. So that's outstanding from Hayden to be third in the championship on a privateer effort himself here. That's fantastic. But the gap in the points, I didn't realise it was so big. I knew Dean won, every race, but I just didn't realise that the gap to second was already that far apart. That's huge at this point in the season.
Yeah, and it's big, but it only takes 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, and that can and if you're out, and Dino knows best, losing all that oil in Brazil or wherever it was out of the engine, so things can turn pretty quick. So I can't see him losing it from here, but anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Now, SX1 side of things too, if we go down the list a bit further, obviously in 4th position, Luke Clout. Unfortunately, that round 2 start crash and then Moto 2 issues as well just took him straight out of the championship. But he's had a pretty good weekend in the 250 class in Paris. As much as I said in our group chat that he shouldn't be riding a 250, he made the most of it. I still don't reckon he should have been riding 250, because I reckon he would have had an even better showing in that 450 class. I reckon he would have been beating Vial and potentially chasing Hunter in that second night there, with Hunter being a bit under the weather. And even when Cooper Webb was dropping back at different points, I reckon he would have been close to him. So I would have rather see Luke in that 450 class, but he made the most of the 250 as it is. I just wish he didn't have to drop back down there. He's a better 450 rider.
Yeah, he is, and I think you're right. He would have been up front or at least top 4, I think, in the 450 class. So disappointing to see him drop down, but, to nearly be Prince of Paris in that 250 class is a decent effort considering he doesn't ride it at all.
Yeah, definitely. Now, if we go back, this is where it starts getting a bit difficult reading for a particular Hall of Fame inductee that I spoke to the other night at the Motorcycle New South Wales Hall of Fame Awards for 2025. The CDR Yamaha team, Craig Dack. It'd be painful to look at this after trying to bring in some American talent to contest with the Honda guys. His riders are in 5th, 7th, and 8th in the championship. So that's Mitchell Harrison is the best of them. Then Dylan Walsh is skipped in there in the middle on the KTM, but then it's Aaron Tanti and Phil Nicoletti. Now, Phil, I think we can let off with a pass on 2 fronts. 1, he's semi-retired. And 2, that incident with Luke Clout in that heat race, the very first heat race in Redcliffe for them, and he's basically broken a bone in his hand at that point. That gives him a pass for me in terms of the results so far. But Dakar, he's already grey. He hasn't lost too much hair, but maybe he's going to start pulling it out if things don't turn around for him, because the riders that he's got should be doing a lot better. And they've done good in flashes, but nothing for a championship effort so far, it seems.
Yeah, I'd probably put Tanti at the top of the list, even though Harrison is above him. I think Tanti's had the better rides, but silly mistakes in podium positions, way too many of them. And I think without those, he's probably 3rd or 4th in points without those mistakes. So I'd probably put him as the top CDR rider, but it's not a great look having 3 riders that should be doing better, and or 2, we'll go 2, not Phil, 2 that probably should be a lot better than what they are.
Yeah, no, not good. Now, shout out to our man, as much as he's not able to race this weekend after injury in Cronulla in that final race of the night, but Luke Zielinski, top 10 on a privateer bike. He's 9th in the points at the moment. He'd probably be a lot closer to Phil there in 8th if it wasn't for that crash in the final moto in Cronulla on, what was that, the 2nd last lap or 3rd last lap, something like that. So, yeah, awesome effort from Luke. Unfortunately, that's as good as it's going to get for 2025 because he will be out he's definitely out for Melbourne. I dare say he's not going to try and bother with Adelaide either, which is unfortunate. But hopefully he's turned a few heads and get some support for 2026 Supercross, if not, motocross and stuff as well, depending on what it is that he wants to do. But, yeah, awesome effort from Luke Zielinski. So that's really, really cool. All right. SX2, we've touched on a little bit already with Kingsford and Turner. Let's just have a look down through the field a bit further. 3rd position in the points at the moment is Alex Larwood, and he's had sort of up and down results. He's been leading some, but then he's had some crashes as well, so he needs to find some consistency in his results. Thomas Wood's been pretty good, Benny, or Tiger Wood, however you want to call him. For a young kid, again, he's had some good results, but some average ones as well, and that's kind of what you expect from him. But good to see him doing it in the SX2 class, not SX3.
Yeah, just sneaky good results. You sort of don't notice him on the track. For us at Cronulla, I sort of watched him in qualifying, and he was, wasn't too bad. And then in the night show, you sort of don't notice him, but he's, at the end there he is. He's, so yeah, just sneaky results, and good on him for stepping in and performing how he is.
Yeah, no, doing really well. In 5th in the points is Jace Cosford. Now, Cosford's an interesting one for me. He has some speed. He has the ability. He just doesn't seem to have any luck, or he manages to throw something away at the absolute worst time, and then the results don't really show what he's been capable of so far, for me at least. I don't know what you feel about Jace, Benny, but yeah, there's just something about Jace that I think he should be better than he is in results columns.
Yeah, I think was it the heat race. He led a lot of the heat race at Cronulla and got past just at the end of the heat race, I think, by Lux. And then the first main hit the tough block and crashed, and then that pretty much set the tone for the night. I think I said to you before, Radcliffe, if he's hitting the ground, don't interview him.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, because it never ends well.
No.
And I don't think we even saw him anywhere possible for an interview. So, yeah, he's got speed and he looked really good in that heat race. But then, yeah, when the night show comes, it doesn't seem to work.
No, that doesn't, and it's disappointing. Hopefully he figures something out here soon. Sixth is Wilson Todd. Now, we talked about this one. I wanted him to get the chance to do that World Supercross fill-in. Now, he did because Anthony Bourdon was doing Paris Supercross, but I dare say that was a one and only effort into the World Supercross because he's also then had a bit of a mischief in that event in Vancouver. To go with his other whoopsies moments, let's call them, through Redcliffe and Cronulla, because he hasn't had any result really to speak of so far. I think he's got one, maybe second in a moto, maybe at Redcliffe, if I remember correctly, but the rest have been there at best. But Wilson's a lot better, a lot fitter, a lot stronger than what his results indicate. Just stepping back on the 250 hasn't gone well.
Yeah, did he steal the podium spot from Larwood and Larwood kicked the back wheel or something?
I think that, right? That might be the one I'm thinking of where he got the podium spot. So, yeah, that was the funny little moment from Redcliffe.
Yeah, Cronulla, I think the end of that first rhythm ended up off the track on the ground. And that pretty much, again, like before I said, set the tone for his night. And it didn't go well. So switching back to the 250 probably hasn't been what he thought it would be. So, yeah, he'd probably, and now with an injury, if he does race on the weekend, it's be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see if he's, I dare say he's going to give it a go, but whether it's at any percentage of 100 or not, we'll see. So yeah, watch this space for Wilson Todd. Jake Cannon's having a pretty good season. Obviously got a podium, but first one up in the SX2 for him with that Kawasaki Medi 24 team, just because it's his. He's got that Bud Cowie team ride in Europe. So good to have him back doing Supercross, and he's obviously still focused on trying to do Supercross events, which is awesome. But he's just probably having a bit of a learning season. Reese Budd in 8th, not bad, not good, but just okay, I guess, for Reese in 8th there.
Yeah, I guess he's still there. I guess last year didn't go well, and by this point he wasn't even riding. So I guess he's on the bike. He's racing. It's I suppose just get through this season and then have a pre-season and go again next year. But he's had some bad luck, Reese.
Yeah, he's got to finish the season out, 1. 2, he does need to find a flash here in these last 4 main events that are going to be for the season to try and just help his case continue on with the support level that he needs to do what he's trying to do. He's capable. Just needs to see it, needs a start. I think he just needs one start and he'll be away, which is something that's been eluding him so far. Seth Birchall in 9th, Caleb Barham 10th. McElrath, we've got him there in 11th at the moment, but he's obviously out of it, missing that round 3, but back for this weekend. But yeah, bit of a topsy-table list there, but like we said, luck's well out in front. SX3 as we head to this weekend. Cade Kingston's obviously got the nice points gap here, but it's 18 points, if I'm not mistaken with my math, over Jet Allsop. And then Kingsford's Malinowski's a further point back in 3rd there. So those are the 3 that are possible here in terms of championship. But Kingsford's got a nice gap. Cade Kingsford, that is, has got a nice gap here in the SX3 class. He's got to just... You'd think he just plays this safe, right? If the race isn't there for him to win, he just brings it in 2nd or 3rd, and he's pretty much got this if he does that for 2 more rounds.
Yeah, I think he would just play it safe. I'd say Malinowski will want to try and play cat and mouse again, try and stir him up a bit. Probably a bit like Hayden Deegan did to Joe Shimoda at SMX in that last round. But I think as long as he stays out of the trouble and, in the games, if Malinowski wants to play them, he should just sail right through.
Do you think this weekend in Marvel, being probably the biggest footprint that we're going to get and biggest track we're going to get for this series, that plays into Malinowski's hands? I feel like it would, given that he's had that experience in the US side of things that Kingsford might not have. it might do absolutely nothing, but I just feel that Malinowski might be more familiar with this sort of track size.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think for this class, I think the sand section is going to be a game changer.
It could be a good spot for some photos, mate, for this class for sure.
Yeah, so I think that'll be the game changer. If he can get through there cleanly every lap, then I think Malinowski's got it. But sand is such a foreign thing to a lot of people, especially on a Supercross track. So just depends, how he can navigate that and Kingsford as well. So, yeah, to me, I think that'll be the game changer.
Yeah, so, all right, so you've started talking track. Let's shift over to the track map now. One, we've got an over-under bridge, which is cool. Two, we've got a 360-degree sand section after the bridge. But the rest of the track looks pretty much what you'd expect in terms of a Supercross layout. But I feel like our tracks, we just take a couple of pieces from a US venue throughout the year and plonk it into our track build. Because that 360 circle, I can't remember which city it was, but it was one of the tracks that was mid to end of the AMA season with that same over-under bit. So we've basically just copied and pasted.
You'll laugh at me when I say this, but I actually downloaded the track on MX bikes. For those people that play it will know what I'm talking about. But I actually downloaded it and played the track map, and it actually took me back to another game that had that same section in it, but just back to front.
Yeah, right.
It made me think of that track. So yes, we have used it somewhere over there. But do we get an under-over? Does it actually happen? Well,
if they don't bring the under, like I know there was meant to be one at it was Redcliffe, wasn't it? That there was meant to be one and it didn't end up being there. If they don't bring it to Marvel, they must have burnt it somewhere. Like, of all the places.
Either that or Joey Savacci scared them too much last year and they got rid of it.
Maybe the insurance costs are too high to have an over-under bridge on a track when Joey Savacci's riding. I don't know. But yeah, if they don't bring it, I'll be very, very shocked, because if they can't make what they planned for Melbourne, they can't do it anywhere. So let's hope that they've got the first thing we're going to look for is an over-under bridge in a sand section when we walk into Marvel. That's job number one, Benny.
Yeah, righto. Friday morning, press day, that'll be the first thing.
Exactly. Well, I want to, when they get bikes on track, if they've got that sand section in for the press section, which that'll be another question, obviously, how much track they've got for press. But if that's in the press riding area, I'm just walking straight over to it.
Yep. There'll be good photos in there if we've got it. But yeah, it's like I said, I think it'll be a game changer. But I want to see the track map look exactly like the track does on the ground.
Yeah, let's see.
It needs to be the same.
Maybe one of our listeners and viewers can give us a tip here as to which track that circular sand section was from in the AMA series this year, because I know there is one there. I feel like it was Feely or something like that, but I can't remember. Maybe we can give them some homework and they can send us a message and tell us which one it was. So yeah, maybe we can get that sorted out here shortly. But anyway, so the track map itself looks all right. I think it'll be fine. We do want to see it's built exactly as the map, not just some version of, because that'd be disappointing. But let's talk about the actual event running. We mentioned before about the Fan Fest and stuff. Now, on Friday, that is a free F-R-E-E, not free Fan Fest attendance event. It's going to commence from 12. Now, this is a massive improvement in duration and organisation over last year, from what I can tell, at least on the surface. Because last year there was only like an hour window, and it was a schmozzle in terms of trying to line up and get some signatures for the Lawrences, and then the queue was all the way around bloody Marvel Stadium, and they only ended up taking not even a quarter of the people that were lined up got signatures. It was an absolute shit show. But this looks much better. So they've got a Fan Fest from 12, rider signing sessions from 1. The Lawrences are there from 1, but I think they're only there for an hour. Then there is a Q&A section at 2. All right, I'm going to tell you there's buttery giveaways at 2:30, but I'll come back to that point in a second. And then the Fan Fest concludes at 4. So they've got activations, merch, all that sorts of sales and stuff going on for a 4-hour window, which is absolutely awesome compared to what was last year. This is organised. I like this. This should be really good, Benny.
Yeah, and if Cronulla's anything to go by, that Fan Fest was really good and free again. So, to have this one as well, there'd be a lot of people that obviously have travelled and won't be at work on a Friday, but there's probably a lot of Melbourne people that, might be at work, but there's a lot of time to get in. So, I think it's good. Like last year, like you said, it was a bit of a schmozzle, but I think this year it's going to be a lot better, and it's something that they need to have. The Saturday's a bit quiet. It's not that great on a Saturday when you walk around the stadium. I think it's because they've more focused it on a Friday.
Yes, yeah, I agree. But also the Friday aspect, there's no racing going on, and at Marvel, unfortunately, the way that the venue is situated and ability for access for the riders and stuff, the pits are within the stadium and they're not accessible by the fans, so you can't actually get in the main pit area. So as much as they say that they've got a pit party commencing on Saturday at 11, that will just be basically the Fan Fest. It won't be the actual pits. You won't see the riders. They will come up for some signings, which will go on at 11 as well, but it won't be the pits that most people would associate with.
Yeah, I think that's one of the downfalls of Marvel, but it is what it is. Everyone could walk around the trucks at Cronulla and get a good look and see the riders and whatever, but I think with the Fan Fest it sort of takes over from that.
Yeah. Now, before we move too far, I'll get the rest of that Saturday program out. So early access is from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that'll be your VIPs getting in to watch the heat races and such. The main gates open at 5 o'clock. The main events will kick off from 6. So the main event program will kick off from 6. The event concludes at 9:30 on Saturday night. So it's a pretty good timetable. Obviously, there's individual races across the rest of that you can look into the more details, but that's the general overview. But Benny, I've got a serious question.
What is the question?
Why are we promoting a video guy that he's got giveaways at the Fan Fest?
I think it's just the name and the social following.
Yeah, but I had to look him up to see which one was actually him.
Okay. Well, for me, I know who he is. Probably a lot of people listening know who he is.
Yeah, good.
But I think we couldn't bring Beaumare, we couldn't get Cole Davies, so why not bring someone that can get there, show our event overseas, is what I think. I think that's one of the reasons. But I can also, I can see where you're coming from. They actually had, his partner that does stuff with him at Argentina for World Supercross. So it's, I don't know if it's, now we're having a battle or what, but yeah.
I can this is falling in a similar category for me as the, AC and JB coming over. And even Pulp to some degree. Pulp is a very different level of media and entertainment personality, right? He's top level of what our sport probably has. Him, Weege, etc. Right? That's the level. But then we go to a Buttery. We might as well go to God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Lissamore. We might as well go to, what's the other guy? God, I'm drawing blanks on the guys that I met over in there. But those people, if we go to AC and JB, they're at least riders that people names will really associate with across most of the crowd, right? Buttery, unless you've watched him or know his videos, you might know the name, but you're not going to pick him out of a crowd, and you can't instantly say this video was him for 90% of the people. I just feel like it's a bit of wasted investment. I don't know, maybe it's not, but I can't say anyone in that crowd is coming to the event just to see him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. There might be more people than you think. but they will go there because, one, they know him, but they're already going there. So if they're not just going directly to see him.
Well, I might cop a bit of heat for this one. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Buttery will, give me a punch in the face when he sees me if he hears this. I don't know. I just find that it's not like... It's like as if AMA brought me over and said, hey, we've brought AlwaysMoto over for an event. Sweet, let's put him in a fan fest. Nobody would give a rat's. But we do that sort of stuff the other direction. Like, I don't see why we should do that.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Like you said, it's a bit of a weird one, but...
You're fence sitting. Sure. You're fence sitting. You don't want to get yourself in trouble.
I can see it from both sides. Like, I know who he is. I've followed him for ages. So I can see it from both sides. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it'll go.
Yeah, okay. All right. Let's move on. I just thought it was something worth bringing up. On the day, on Saturday, there is something else going on, but it's not a public event. It's been invited for the media, but I said that I'd give it a little plug here because it's coming out soon. Stephen Gall, the Australian legend, multi-time Mr. Motocross national champion. Many of you probably out there would have done one of Stephen's 5-day or 2-day training camps over the years when you were younger. I did a few of them myself. My wife's done a few of them. Neighbours have done a few of them. It's quite funny. The people you talk to, they've all done them at some point in their life. But Stephen's actually got a book coming out in about April. It will be ready for the shelves. But he's doing a pre-release launch for the media this weekend in Marvel. So hopefully we'll hear more about that. We'll get a little bit of a snippet of the book to talk about it more on some shows coming up here. But keep that in mind, guys. Stephen tells me that the book is going to be in most Yamaha dealers. It's going to be on MX store as well. So when it is released, you're going to be able to get it pretty easily from your usual places you're shopping at for your bike gear. So yeah, probably worth having a read because he said that things like the time when he was training James Stewart and got booted from that training sessions, from that training gig by James's mum, all that story and stuff is going to be in the book. So some interesting stuff to read there at some point here soon. But yeah, pre-release for Stephen Gall's book is coming up here at Marvel this weekend for the media side of things. So we'll give you some more info after that. The other thing we're going to touch on quickly, Quadlock. Most people out there knows Quadlock. Obviously, we've got the Quadlock race team. But Quadlock, the brand, is doing a Black Friday sale. It's on until December 3rd. Pretty much 30% off everything on their site. So if you need some new gear for your Quadlock setup or you just want to get some new stuff, go and check it out. I was surprised at how much crap's on there, Benny. I've never really looked at Quadlock. And I even said that to the Quadlock guys when they messaged me and asked me to plug it. I was like, I've never really looked at your stuff, but went and checked out the website. And holy crap, there's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff. I know my dad he's got some Quadlock stuff, and once you buy one thing, that's it. It's just a continuous thing. It's just more and more every week. So the Black Friday sale should help you.
Yeah, it should help things out. So yeah, check out Quadlock Australia's website for some deals on that. All right, Benny, anything else ahead of the weekend that you're looking forward to, or are we into a break and we'll get to our interview that I didn't even plug at the start of the show, but we've got a privateer that's going to come up here shortly.
Now, I've got one thing.
Yeah, go on.
I don't know why it happens, but every year, and that even before I was lucky enough to start doing media stuff, every time we have a race at Marvel, it rains.
Have you?
It storms or it rains. So just be wary. There's a lot of people walking into the stadium last year, freezing cold and soaked. So just be wary what you wear and what you bring on Saturday because it's meant to rain again. I've already looked it up. So just some weather advice for Saturday. Yeah, you're preempting my weather report later on, but yeah, it is a regular phenomenon in Melbourne. Is the rain? So yeah, you're not completely wrong there. Yeah. But that's it. That's all I've got. All right, awesome. Well, I will see you Friday for press day in Melbourne. We will have our press day video, hopefully with some interviews up on some point Friday afternoon. We'll have coverage throughout the day on our social channels. We'll have our post-race shows hopefully up very late Saturday, early Sunday for you all to be watching. So there's plenty of coverage to get to from AlwaysMoto. Benny will be a big part of getting that out there for you. So if you see him, thank him.
If you haven't already, we should mention this too. We haven't mentioned this in a while, Benny. Group chat. The AlwaysMoto group chat is always going in the background in the Instagrams. If you want to get into it, message Benny or myself direct on Instagram and we can add you into that. There's plenty of banter, plenty of fantasy moto talk. Obviously, there's the fast moto fantasy side of things that's going for Australian Supercross at the moment. We had Troy on here a couple of weeks ago talking about that. But we talk about that as well in the group chat, plus just any general moto info that's going around out there. It's usually popping up in there, so it's worth joining that. We are going to try and, I think you're trying to organise, Benny, to try and catch up with some people from the group chat in Melbourne because most people are heading there.
Yeah, well, we did a catch up, I think 2 years ago, and we got one person. And that person just so happened to be Lachlan, who ended up doing our bootleg fantasy league. So again, we thank him for that. But yeah, just he was the only one that showed up, and then in the end, we got a fantasy game out of him. So pays to come and meet us and meet them, and we get lucky enough that we got a lot of people in the group chat. So hopefully we get to meet a few more. Yeah,
look, and if is Lachlan coming again this time? I'm not sure if he has. I haven't seen the message direct from him as such, but I need to remember to bring a shirt for him because he's owed one for his efforts in the bootleg league.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's been every year though. So hopefully he is. Yeah, we'll have to send him a message. But yeah, anyway, we'll take a break here. I'm going to flip over to our interview. It's with Seth Jackson. So, Benny, we'll say goodbye. Thank you, sir. That's all right. Thank you. See you Friday.
Will do. All right. So, we are going to flip into our interview. Oh, I've got two of me now on the screen. That's not cool. Let's go to our host only for a second view. There we go. That's much better. So, yeah, we're going to flip over to our interview with Seth Jackson. He's a privateer in the Australian Supercross series, and he's been doing a great job. I'm just getting rid of a couple of screens, hence why I'm looking away from you guys and girls out there. So let's get this one up and play and make sure it's going to pick up the right screen here, and we are going to go to our interview. All right, joining us this week on the AlwaysMoto podcast, he's a supported Triumph rider by the Winnings race team in Australian Supercross. It's the number 71 of Seth Jackson. How are we doing, Seth?
Not bad, man. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. We've managed to pick you up out of the mixed of nowhere because it's on the piggyback and off the back of a mention on Pulp MX that you got recently. That must have been a little sweet teaser for you to have your name thrown around on that show. And I felt bad that I hadn't spoken to you before, so I thought, why not now? Let's go for it.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it was pretty cool to get mentioned on there. I was just chilling, going about my day, and I had one of my mates, Luke Power, text me on Instagram. He's like, "You got a mention on Pulp." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then you put the timestamp in there as well. And then I looked at it. I was with my dad, and we were chilling in the lounge room, and we both watched it. And man, we all cracked up when it was like, "Yeah, Seth Jackson, not that great of a rider, but."
Yeah, look, from that, considering it was on an American show, I could understand if they were saying that. But then when it was a Canadian, that was like as Noof saying it, I'm like, the Canadians aren't that good either.
Yeah. No, it's super cool to get mentioned on there. I watch all their stuff basically every weekend. I watch all the segments with all the riders with Sexton and stuff on there like that. And I always watch Phil Nicoletti's segments as well. They're pretty entertaining.
Yeah, no, look, it's a good platform. Obviously, I've watched it and learned a few things over the time from that platform. But yeah, to obviously get a mention out of the blue is kind of weird, but awesome. I gather you probably got to bump in a couple of YouTube viewers or something there as well for the subscribers.
Yeah, I got a few extra subscribers actually. I think I got maybe an extra 50, so I can't complain.
No, look, it's every number is a good number when you're trying to get that subscriber list up. So yeah, look, it's a good thing. I thought it was funny, but yeah, hopefully it's driven you some traffic. But it's obviously given you some attention, and people probably at least just Googling your name because they were like, "Who's Seth Jackson?" Right? So let's fill that in a little bit. This is you're with the SX1 class for Australian Supercross this year, and you're on the Triumph. But from what we just said before we record, this is your first year doing Supercross series, correct?
Yeah, first every year.
Why is that? Where have we been, and why 450 is your first XX year? That seems like a massive challenge, man.
Well, that is a great question. So I only turned pro last year. So I first started racing the Pro MX, so the outdoor series in Australia. Started racing that for the first time last year. And before that, I was just doing regional and Vic rounds and stuff like that. never really kind of saw racing as like a career thing. It was more like, oh, just find a hobby and this and that. But the last few years, I kind of started taking it a lot more seriously. And then, yeah, taking it more seriously, then going up higher ranks and started racing pro. And then I just want to give all of it a crack and I'll see how far I can take it. So that's why I end up racing Supercross now.
Why not then, eh? Like, just throw it in the mix. It's not exactly hard.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and what you say about just hopping straight in the deep end on the 450?
yeah.
I am on the 450 because I do think it suits me a little bit better as I am a bit of a bigger rider. I'm 6'4" and I'm about 86 kilos. So
Yeah, okay. So that's perfect. That's perfect explanation for why you're in SX1 on a 450, because I do look at some of the guys, and look, Cullen Park, he's been on their show before from America and he's doing the World Supercross at the moment. He jumps to mind 100% of the time, and I think of guys that should not be trying to ride a 250 still, they should be on a 450, and it's purely size related, right? Like, he's a great rider, but the starts and everything, you've got no chance, right, at that point.
Yeah, especially against some kids that weigh like 55, 60 kilos.
Exactly,
and even if
right, there's no way you're getting a whole shot.
Even if I was fully factory supported and stuff like that, like a 20 plus kilo weight difference on a 250 on a start, I'm just not getting that start on them.
You'd have to like have the inside line on the gate somehow. Like, you know, the guy in the box is like giving you the 50, you know, you've given him $50 or something and told you count to 2 and go. That's how you're going to get a start. Otherwise, it's not happening, right? Like, you're going to be mid-pack at best every time. So, yeah, I can see that makes perfect sense as to why you've gone 450 straight out off the bat. So, yeah, awesome. How's the Triumph then on that side of things? Like, it's a developing machine, let's say. It's not, you know, extremely depth of research and development on this thing, and you're trying to learn Supercross and potentially a new bike and setting it up. How's that been treating you?
Yeah, there's no R&D on the bike, obviously, as it's for the 450. It is all new to this year, so they're not even racing it in America yet, but we are down here. So my first time ever riding a 450 was last year. I had a KTM 450.
Okay.
I did struggle with the handling on it a lot. It kind of just, I don't know, it just never really felt good on it. And with the Triumph this year, it might be the frame or the KYB suspension, because it's all completely different, but I was way more comfortable straight off the bat. And the power on it is a lot smoother compared to the KTM, where the KTM kind of feels like it might want to kill you, and the power just doesn't come out how you want it to, if that makes sense. Like, if you want to be aggressive, maybe yes, but to be a smooth rider, no. Where the Triumph is a nice, smooth, linear power all the way through. And yeah, I've loved the handling and the power of it. It's kind of perfect for my riding style.
I'm sure KTM's going to love that quote when we clip it. If you want to kill you, yeah, go for it. That's perfect. But look, that's a good description of why, you know, the bike suits you differently. You're obviously just liking a much more simpler application of throttle and power response to that. But on that, it reminds me, like I was saying to you before we hit record, I went and did the 450 intro for the Triumph Australia guys back in, that was March, I think it was, at the beginning of this year. And like, I thought the 450 in its standard form was okay, but the Moto was a bit meh in terms of the mapping side of things. And when they threw those, they had like an expert motocross map, and then they had a RC map. And I was like, the RC map is the money for me. Like, it just turned it into a different animal, and I really liked it. But have you played with any of that sort of stuff, or where are you sitting in mapping?
Yeah, so I have actually. So when you get it stock, you've got like the standard / slow map.
Yep.
Or you've got the RC map, which is kind of like their race map.
Yep.
But then on the 450s as well, they've actually got 8 other options. So there's 10 maps in totals. And the RC map is kind of mellow compared to a lot of the other maps on there. So I'm currently on a app. It's map. It's called the Expert Map.
Yeah.
And it's just got I don't actually know the exact terms of why it's different or why it's faster. I think it's got a bit more fuel and this and that. But compared to the RC map, it is 9-day difference again. Yeah. So that's where I feel that extra power, but it's still that smooth linear rather than just ripping you off your bars.
If I remember correctly, like, I didn't get through many of the maps, but I got through the 3, the stock, that expert, and the RC one. And the expert one I didn't like because my riding style is a bit more low revving and higher gear riding, and that's where that RC map sort of sitted nicely for me. But you must be liking to get the bike going a bit more in the top of speed, because that's where I felt like or at least the higher rev ranges, that's where I felt that expert one was hitting harder there. So yeah, you're probably up there a bit more in the revs.
Yeah, I do like getting in the rev sometimes. Kind of like activates that flow state a bit. Love just riding an outdoor track just on that limiter.
Okay, there we go. So that perfectly explains why you like that map and I like the other one, because I'm a bit more sedate on the throttle application. So yeah, there we go. No, cool.
Yeah.
So all right, so the bike's suiting you pretty well by the sounds of it. How has been trying to learn Supercross? Like, do you have an easy track that's nearby to go and learn? Have you had to sort of beg, borrow, and steal from a few mates? What's the setup around there?
So my first time ever riding Supercross was about 3.5 weeks before the first round.
Perfect. Yep. Awesome amount of time. Yep.
So I've got 2 tracks that I've been riding at. Shane Boyd, he's got a track out of his joint at Park for MX.
Oh, yep.
And that's like a full spec track. Like it's pretty gnarly. Like
That's the one with the car park in the background that everyone sees in the videos, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I know the one. Yep.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to end up down there.
Looks like a fair way down too, to be honest. So yeah, no.
Oh, it is. It's probably a good 10-meter drop, and it's just this massive rhythm with like, I don't know, 12 to 15 jumps or ramps in it. And yeah, just to the right, about a meter or 2 off is a nice drop down there.
I love these tracks that they think of safety first. But anyway, go on. Yeah, so it's a good track to learn on. Yep.
Yeah.
Where else are you getting
besides
to?
it's an absolute sick track. I really like it down there. And the other track I've been riding at is Zane McIntosh. He's got a track that's legit just 10 minutes down the road from me. So that's been sick. He's helped out heaps with that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so that's good. I've seen some videos of you two out playing silly buggers and training and whatnot. So yeah, obviously he's helping out there, and it's good for him to have someone to ride with too, I gather. So yeah.
Yeah, no, his track is a little more mellow compared to Shane's, but it's still like a great track. Everything's a spec, and it's still like perfect training. And the first time I ever rode Supercross, it was at Shane's, and obviously because it's a bit of an intense track, the first time I ever rode it, I'm like, oh my god, how am I going to race this in 3 weeks?
Well, 3.5 short weeks later, by the sounds of it, you were on Redcliffe. How was it when you got onto an actual racetrack in a stadium? Did you feel like the walls were closing in because the stadium was there and you had tough blocks and all that sort of stuff there? It's probably a fair bit different from what you had to go at.
Yeah, 100%. But it was weird. I was kind of thinking, I remember asking someone last year when I was watching at Marvel, I was like, how is it like there's 30, 40,000 people watching you, this and that? And they're like, oh, it's not too bad, this and that. And I thought maybe when I get there, I might get a bit anxious about the fans and everything there or whatever. But I don't know, you just start riding, you don't even think about it. You're just on a track. And the tough blocks are a little sketchy when you get a little bit close. I haven't had any interferences with them of actually jumping on them yet, so touch wood.
Well, maybe let's maybe thank Adam Bailey so far, because he has been pretty big on those changes for the tough blocks this year. He loves everybody when they get a plug of it. So maybe you haven't touched on because of his new angled designs or something fancy. Maybe it's just coincidental too. So anyway.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So look, I gather then you're a Victorian guy. This weekend coming up is going to be pretty special for you to roll into the stadium that's potentially going to have 40,000 people in it again because of two particular people joining us this weekend for the series. But yeah, local event for you. I gather there's people that you're going to know and family and stuff. It's going to be a bit different than to just roll into Redcliffs or Cronulla like you've done so far.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be different for sure. But it is going to be great because I'm going to be able to sleep in my own bed the night before, wake up, stroll about an hour down the road, and yeah, we'll be there. It'll be sick.
Yeah, no, it is handy when you can sleep in your own bed on these sorts of weekends because it does make a massive difference to how you feel when you get to the event. So, yeah, that's going to be a plus. Yeah,
and there's a whole lot less stress. Like, oh, I might have forgot something, this and that. And it's like, no, well, I'm just down the road, so it's all good. It's going to be a lot more chill, just everything about it leading up and whatever. So, yeah, I'm keen.
Yeah, nice. So have you, with your racing and stuff, and I think you mentioned this when we were trying to set this up in terms of doing the interview, but you're working during the days. So are you, working on Thursday or something here? What's your plans with this one? Are you working all week even maybe?
Yeah, I'm working all week.
Oh, no.
I won't be working Friday because I think I have to be there Friday.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm working all week. I was going to take one day off or do a half day to go ride, but my bike's not going to be ready in time. I've completely done my fork seals, so I'm going to just let it sit and we'll wait till the weekend.
So this is like that. This is that semi sort of privateer, supported life where you're either doing these things yourself maintenance-wise when something goes wrong, or you don't have a spare part for a week or so to get it back going again. You got to wait for the team to get one back, you to get it to the team, and then for them to get it back to you again. So, bit of a situation, mate. What are we doing?
No, the team actually has been helping me out heaps. Like, they helped me out with the bike for this year and all that type of stuff, and they've been working on it and everything for me. It's just I wanted to go riding probably latest maybe tomorrow, and so they only had today to do it, and they didn't have the stuff ready, and they're jam-packed with everything getting ready for the weekend and all that type of stuff. So it is what it is, and I had a sick day riding last time I rode on Friday, and I was happy with my progress. So maybe we'll end it on a high coming into Marvel, so maybe it's a sign.
Look, sometimes it might be better because, like, I was talking to one of the other guys on the show 2 weeks ago, Riley Burgess from the SX3 class, and he was saying that he missed Marvel last year because he had a crash on the Tuesday practicing at home before it last year and completely missed out on it. So these things can happen too. So maybe that was a blessing that you had a great day and then the bike said, look, I'm not going to let you ride this week because we're going to Marvel,
Yeah, things happen for a reason, and I'm grateful. I'm healthy coming in. No lingering injuries. I felt sweet last time I rode. Bike styled, so no excuses.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good prep going in. So what is it, if you're working this week, what is the day job for you, mate? Are you a tradie? Are you in the office somewhere? Are you studying? What's the story behind Seth Jackson during the week?
So I'm basically just like a labourer. So my team, the Triumph Winner Racing team, the Winner Motorcycles is the motorcycle company. They do basic maintenance and stuff like that on bikes.
Yep.
The guy that owns that, who is also the team manager, he also owns this other business, which it's called Change Parts, and they basically do a bunch of stuff to do with like metal grates and stuff like that for mining companies and just heaps of random metal type of jobs.
Yep.
And they also own a grandstand business and portable grandstand business and things like that. So I'm kind of just me, Zane, and a few others. We work there and we kind of just do a bit of everything, really.
Okay, yeah, cool. So that's funny. There's a few different stories like that when riders are trying to get somewhere that, there's like a job attached to a team, another parent, whatever, that sort of, they know what your schedule needs to be. So they're flexible enough that when you come up and go, hey, I've got to take Friday off for the race on the weekend, they go, yeah, I know, we're doing the same thing sort of thing. So it does help in that scenario.
No, they are so flexible with it. Like, it's awesome. Like, for instance, we'll be there on a Tuesday. I'll be with Zane, and Zane's like, oh, Dad said track's looking good. Oh, we'll just go riding at lunchtime. We'll tell him like 2 hours before we leave, we're going riding. He's like, oh, yeah, all sweet. Like, it's super flexible. It's great.
Yeah, no, that's got to be good. At least lets you get some of that ride time in that you do need to practice. Like, how many times have you been on a Supercross track, you reckon, now? If you've been 3.5 weeks before the season started was the first time, you're probably only hitting like 20 or 30 times on a track by this point, aren't you?
Oh, less. Coming into round one, it was 5 or 6 times. And since then, it has not been over 10, not a chance. Probably an extra 7 to 8, so maybe 15 times in total. That's like max.
Wow.
Like max.
Yeah. The good guys are probably doing that in a week or two of practice at home in America sort of thing, like far out. That's, okay. But so results-wise, if I remember correctly, you got in the main event in one of these because you got points. You're in 21st in the championship.
I didn't realise. But yeah, I did make the main at Cronulla. I was stoked on that.
There we go. So yeah, look, maybe the 15 times is just the right amount of times to get it done.
I can definitely let you know that 5 times was not enough. I came into Redcliffe and every single lap I went through those whoops, I had zero control and I was just praying that I wasn't going to die.
Yeah, look, those from the outside watching, those whoops at Redcliffe weren't the easiest anyway. So probably wasn't ideal that you've only ever hit whoops for half a dozen times or so beforehand. So yeah.
I'd only hit like somewhat mallow sets as well. At Shane Boyd's face, he's got like a kind of mallow set and then he's got a big peaky set.
Yep.
And I never hit the big peaky set leading up to that race. I maybe went through it 5 times, but just like surviving, if that.
Yeah.
Just getting like real loose. And then, yeah, turns out we get the red cliff and they're harder again. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Did we
But by
skim
the
or
time-
jump them?
I hadn't even learned how to jump whoops yet. So it wasn't a skim or a jump. It was just going through.
This is gold. I love the commitment at this point. Look, the fact that you're doing what you're doing and you're still alive is one thing, you know?
Yeah, like I remember leading in, I was like, oh, I probably should have practiced jumping the whoops. I don't think I'm going to be able to skim these. But yeah, I didn't even practice jumping. So it was kind of just like go in, pretend skim, and just end up on the other side.
Yep. Well, it's working so far.
Yeah, don't worry. Since then, we've done heaps of practice on whoops at Zane's house. His dad just got a new set of whoops done there.
Yep.
And like they're pretty full on. And I reckon I've been through them 200 times in the last 2-3 times I've been there.
Yeah. Okay.
Just sessions going forward, turn around, backwards, through it, forward, backwards, just millions of times.
Yeah, nice. That's yeah, we're getting there now. So by the sounds of it, you should be pretty competent, especially I would assume that Marvel's going to have a decent set built, given that we've got a few internationals coming on the invitation list. So yeah, it should be a bit challenging this time around. But you would probably fall into the category, given you said you're 6'4", the Ricky Carmichael jealous of the legs comments in the Supercross sort of things. Like you probably have that ability to get over the back of the bike. So I would think that the whoops would be a natural thing for you, but you just never done it enough yet.
Yeah, no, it's starting to come along like quite easily for me, like the progression, I feel like. But yeah, having the long legs and long arms, it really helps for when you make a mistake. Like if I drop a front wheel, I can just lean back, extend my arms, extend my hips and my legs, and my butt might be going through my rear fender.
Yeah.
But I'm actually able to save it with my leverage. And I've looked back and like slowed stuff down, and I'm just like, holy damn, I'd be able to move my body this far back to save that. And I almost pretended like nothing happened.
Yeah, I would think, like, for me, like, I'm only 5'9" or something, and I can't get my ass anywhere near the rear of the guard. But, yeah, to see some of those photos of bigger guys like yourself where you literally butt and nuts are behind the end of the tip of the guard, like, there's some leverage at that point. So, yeah, you should be able to save a few of these things, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely saved me a few times. I've had a bunch of big moments.
No, definitely.
Yeah, and... Sorry?
I was just going to say, so, you know, with all of that in mind, like, is there a plan for this weekend of racing? Like, it's a bigger event. I think they're doing, and I have to check this because it's early in the week. I haven't seen the proper schedule, but I'm pretty sure we're doing Triple Crown, aren't we, this weekend as well because of the internationals here? Have you done anything like that before?
I actually had no idea. It's the first I'm hearing of that.
Well, I'm going to let you talk for a second here because I'm going to try and find it because I know the schedule has popped up, but I haven't actually looked at it that closely. It's only Monday as we record this. We normally do our Wednesday show when we have this all live, and that would tell me when I would have actually paid attention and done it by that point. But let me have a look here. We're going LCQ, SX3 final, SX1 final. No, we're only doing 2 finals again, like we have done. So
fair enough. I think the time in between the finals was really short from when I was looking at it.
Yeah, so the first SX1 final is down at 8:40, and then the next one is down at 9:10. So there's
by the time you finish the first one, it's probably 8:50, and then you'll be lining back on it maybe 9 and then taking off 9:10. So yeah, there's basically no downtime.
No, that's pretty tight turnaround. So look, yeah, the heart rate's going to be jacked. You're going to be feeling it by the end of the night if we make it all that way. So yeah, is there a plan for this? How's the fitness levels for you?
The fitness is actually really good at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plan is just not to crash or cartwheel, so I don't have to try swap some levers in 5 minutes. That's what we had to do last time when I made the main at Cronulla. I crashed in the whoops and snapped my clutch lever. And yeah, we're running across the road to try get a new lever on for the next race.
Yeah, that's not advisable. The Cronulla pit set up with it being literally over the road, down the road sort of thing. You would have been in the back area of that too, not near the front there where the Honda and the Yamaha guys were.
We were at the back, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys would have had quite the trek to go and grab one clutch lever. You need the old the mechanic fanny bag going on, like loaded to the tilt.
3 clutch levers, 3 brake levers will be dialed.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Bloody hell. So, yeah, no, all right. Sounds good. Look, I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm just looking forward to seeing you in the whoops. Actually, now that I've put a face to the name, I've got some image photos of you from the first few rounds, but not many. But I'm going to try and get a few more of you now. I just want to take a couple of shots in the whoops to see how far your butt can get back over the guard.
If you want to know how they hit the whoops, do not watch me.
Well, at least you're honest about this. You're not trying to just blow smoke up your butt to say that you're actually better than you are. So that's good.
Oh. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not the best out there. I'm just learning at the moment. And yeah, we'll slowly get there. But yeah, if you want any tips and tricks, don't watch me. Watch whoever's in front of me.
Fair enough. Well, what's the plans then for next year? Like, obviously, this is the first year through Supercross. I gather you're going to try and come around and do the Nationals again next year and then lead into Supercross as well. Are we staying on the same sort of program, or what's the plans for you moving forward?
I'm not too sure. I'll hopefully stay with the Triumph team, but we haven't chatted about that yet. And I'm not too sure what will happen from there. But yeah, I definitely want to do all the Pro Mechs and all the Supercross again, for sure.
Yeah, well, now you've got all this practice under your belt. You can't let it go to waste for a second year round, right? For the Supercross side of things.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm really keen to crack in for pre-season as well for next year. I've been training pretty hard, and I've kind of feel like I know what I'm doing now, and I can build a pretty good program. And yeah, I've been really dialed in on my training and my diet and just absolutely everything. So I'm keen to absolutely smash it next year.
Is someone helping you with that side of things? Like, I know that, like you said, you're riding with Zane and stuff. I'm pretty sure Zane's down there with JP physio side of things. Are you looking after? Is he looking after you, or are you doing your own thing?
He helped me when I was injured this year.
Yep.
When I fractured the bottom of my tibia somewhere in my ankle. And that was a headache. It was meant to be a 6-week recovery, and then it didn't heal. Then I had to get surgery on it. So I couldn't walk for 3 months, and I was out for ages. And he was helping me with the just the whole process of that and the rehab and all of that. But yeah, I've had some advice on how I should be training and stuff throughout as of last year. Steve Sweeney, I'm not sure if you know him, but he told me like what type of off-the-bike training that I should be doing. And that's helped out a lot. That's improved my fitness heaps. And yeah, just heaps of research online about just diet and stuff like that. I'm just eating real foods, like whole foods, just like meat and rice and salad and fruit and eggs and stuff like that. Stuff that like our ancestors would have ate hundreds of years ago. Yeah, just nice. No processed crap.
Yeah, yeah. You found the real world food by the sounds of that, not the stuff that comes out of a packet. So that's usually the trick.
Yeah, nothing that's in the middle of the aisles. The stuff in either end of the shops.
There you go. That's the basic method for good nutrition. Walk the perimeter of the shop and don't go up the middle aisles.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. So that sounds like we're starting to build into a bit of a repeatable regime here for you. So in terms of training, nutrition, hopefully the bike side of things can keep kicking along, and the experience of the races will hopefully only get better from here. And particularly riding in Marvel this weekend, you're going to have, I dare say, a few little nerves and chills, but you're also going to get an experience of a full-on Supercross track. So yeah, look, it's only up from here, mate.
No, I'm so keen for this weekend. And if I make the main, I'll be stoked as well. Racing against Jet and Hunter, that'll be pretty surreal. So
yeah, that would be a massive thing to tick off on the bucket list, and be, if you get anywhere near them on the start line as such, to get a photo with them, that you prove you're in a race with them at least once. That would be sick to hang on the wall, and
that'll be my grandkids or whatever. That'll be my claim to fame for sure.
Oh, 100%.
We told my grandkids that one.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's got to be the aim. So look, I'll look for you. If I get a shot for you, I'm giving it to you straight afterwards. So you just got to make the main, all right? I'll get the photo.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
Righto. Well, Seth, mate, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you making some time for us on the AlwaysMoto podcast. Good luck this weekend in Marvel Stadium. We'll swing by and say hello, but just have a blast this weekend, mate.
Yeah, I'll see you down there. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Had a great time chatting some shit with you, and yeah, it was great. I'd be happy to hop on here anytime you need. Yeah,
we'll have to have you again, mate. Maybe even after the weekend. We'll see how things pan out for you.
Sweet. Sounds good.
All right, mate. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. See you later.
All right, how good was that interview with Seth Jackson there? It was a good interview, really good interview. I had a lot of fun talking to him before and after that interview as well. Obviously, we got the recorded part there that you saw, but Seth is a funny dude, doing good things in terms of trying to promote himself, obviously, on his social channels and on his YouTube. He's got a vlog going on. That's how we found him, through that comment via Ryan the Noof Lockhart when he was on Pulp a couple of weeks ago, that he'd found his vlog somehow all the way over there. And look, Seth's vlog isn't a massive coverage at this point with a big fan base, but it's obviously reaching some people. So he's doing a good job. I'm going to look for him this weekend. Can't believe the stuff he said about the amount of practice that he did before Redcliffs in round one, and how he just went into Supercross pretty much raw. Like, that was insane. But this is privateer life, people. This is why people love the sport, because guys like Seth get out there and give it a crack. It's not always pretty, but they're doing their best and they're making it happen. So yeah, look, I've got a lot of time for Seth now that we've had him on the show. You'll see, hopefully we'll see a bit more of him this weekend when we try and get him on for some interviews as well across our coverage from the weekend at Marvel. So look for that side of things as well. All right, the racing this weekend. How are you going to watch it? We tell you this every weekend so you know which way to go for the coverage. If you're not in the stadium, which I dare say a lot of you listening are probably going to be there in the crowd. If you are, try and find us. I'll be wandering around taking photos, probably down towards the ground level there taking photos. So look for us with the AlwaysMoto shirt and hat on. Say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me that you're a listener. That's always cool. Hopefully I'll have a couple of stickers in the backpack if you want a couple of AlwaysMoto stickers, or come and see me. But if you see me in the fan fest or in the pits wandering around, just say hello. I'm pretty approachable. I'd love to meet new people and meet some people that are listening to it and give me some feedback. Tell me I'm useless. Tell me I've got a bad take on whatever it is, or a good take on whatever it. Tell me that Benny's the contractor's average, and we'll give you some more stickers. That sort of thing. It's all fun and games. But if you're there, great. If you're not, how do you watch it? For our Australian Supercross, KO freebies is the go. If you've obviously got a KO subscription already, it's all within that. But if you don't have a KO subscription, it's okay. You can go and sign up for a free account, watch KO freebies. It's on that, which is awesome. For our Americans that are going to want to watch the Lawrences over the weekend, you can stream it through a DAZN, DAZN streaming platform. It's one of those worldwide ones. I think you need a membership for that, but that is your option. But there is a how to watch section for each of the regions of the world on this Oz Supercross site. So check that out for if you're in Canada, if you're in England, if you're in the Philippines, wherever it might be. Check it out, because they've got a way for you to watch it via a streaming platform, most of which is free. So that's really cool. But KO freebies for your Aussies out there, get on there, check it out. Now, obviously, Technic Motorsport is on board with us, and they are all your suspension components that you need for anything. They are the KYB and Showa Australian importers. They have all the genuine parts available for all of those suspension components. They're adding stuff all the time. Their website's amazing, technicmotorsport.com. You put your bike details in, you can put your rider weight details in. It tells you what springs, what parts you should have, replacement parts, bushes, wipers, seals, all that sort of stuff. You can get all new shims, fancy bits and pieces. You can get Kashima coated forks done. You can get the DLC coated bottom tubes. You can get it. You can get A-kit suspension kits from technicmotorsport.com. They ship pretty much anywhere with DHL International. They have a currency converter on their website, and they ship daily. So that's awesome. Basically, I think it's 2 o'clock. If you get your order in before 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, daylight savings at the moment, you will get that shipped that same day, likely then turning up the following day. So check out technicmotorsport.com. Pivot pegs as well are on board with us. I've talked about them heaps. They are the only pegs I'll use on my bike because they do not chew my boots to pieces. They also allow me to move around on the bike a lot easier because of that pivoting action. They are wide and they are strong and they are functional. They're available for all sorts of dirt bikes, but also adventure bikes as well. Check it out, pivotpegs.com. All right, weather in Melbourne. As Benny, the contractor, alluded to when we just had him on a few minutes back there in the show, he mentioned about the previous few years always seeming to rain in Melbourne. Now, that is a Melbourne trait, people. If you've never been to Melbourne, you should know this. You will find this out very quickly, that when you get there, it's pretty cold and it's pretty wet most days. It's like living in England, basically. So I've looked up the weather. It's meant to be sunny and between 9 and 18 degrees on Friday for the Fan Fest time. So you'll still need a jacket, maybe some pants. But we should be okay for weather on the Friday. Saturday, it's cloudy, potential rain, 11, 22 degrees. So definitely bringing pants and jackets, probably both days here. given that cloud coverage, there is that chance of rain. With being Melbourne, it could just do it just because it's Melbourne, right? So just watch that. Keep that in mind, because last year people were coming into the venue completely soaked and obviously trying to dry out during the event, which isn't easy to do. So keep that in mind. Maybe even have a jacket that's waterproof that you're carrying with you to just in case. But hopefully no weather to massively speak of. All right, upcoming events. Obviously, AusXopen this weekend, November 21st in Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. That is the big one. The following weekend, it's World Supercross Round 3, November 29th, the Gold Coast. That's right, it's the Australian round of World Supercross the following weekend. Unfortunately, on the same weekend, it's the final round, Round 5 of the Australian Supercross Championship, and it's in Adelaide. It's partnered up with the Supercars Championship, the Adelaide 500 round there. Great that they're partnered up. Sucks that that somehow this has all ended up on the same weekend and you can't be in the same place at the same time, then two places at once. So, Worlds in Gold Coast, Oz Supercrosses in Adelaide on November 29th. That's all the main events in racing that we've got obviously going on. There is 2 more rounds of World Supercross in Sweden and South Africa that are in December. We'll get to those later on. But I did notice Motorcycling New South Wales has put up a post this week as well that they are putting out their 2026 calendar on Friday. Keep an eye out on that, because that'll obviously lay out all of the disciplines with those state championships and main events that the state governing body is running, not the club events. Obviously, the clubs put out their individual calendars, but those state championship events will be announced shortly. Keep an eye out for some changes. I know what's coming. Keep an eye out for some changes on the motocross side of things. There's some good changes coming for motocross in 2026 in New South Wales State Championship. So keep an eye out on that. All right. That's it. We got through another show, another live show. It's been awesome. Thanks to the contractor for coming on. Obviously, thanks to the wife and kids for letting me get this done. Massive thank you to Jen. She is going to be down in Melbourne with us, but she's not going to be doing unfortunately not doing media work with us this time around, because the kids are coming down and the pits are closed and we can't all get in there with the kids and stuff this time around, which is a bummer. So Benny and I are going to be running the show down there in Melbourne. So hope if the camera's not steady, blame Benny this weekend. The steady hand has been the wife the last few rounds, which has been awesome to have her doing that for us, helping us out, putting the show together and everything. So yeah, look, we'll work all this out. The kids will get bigger and they'll eventually be allowed in there on their own accord. But thanks to you guys and girls out there for watching and listening. If you're not watching this show, you should be. It's on YouTube, so come and subscribe. If you're not listening to this show during the week, well, you could be. You could be doing that over on Spotify or Apple Music or iHeartRadio. We're on lots of platforms, so check us out in audio and video formats. Obviously, the YouTube is the one we want you watching and listening through, because we want you to subscribe to it so we can get monetized and make a little bit of coin on the side from doing this. Obviously, not much, because we don't have heaps of viewers, but we have, thanks to you guys and girls out there watching, listening, we have gotten a lot of you new followers and stuff coming through. So that's awesome in recent weeks, obviously to do with our Australian Supercross Championship coverage, which is great. So we'll keep that going. T-shirt orders, get those T-shirt orders in. We need you to support the AlwaysMoto podcast, $25 plus postage and handling. Email info@alwaysmoto.com to get yourself one, and we can support the show basically. All right. Don't forget to check out our written articles. We do written articles. You know, the ones you got to read? Yeah, those ones. Fullnoise.com.au. We've got some up over there still. We put stuff up there. We'll have some coming. We've got check this thing out. What's that you say? Well, whoa, that was probably really loud through the microphone. Maybe that was a bad idea. It is basically a compressor, a handheld compressor, battery operated from Muck Off. We have got this as a test product. We've done a little test on it. It blows hard. That's not rude in this context. But we have got that. We have also been testing. What was the other thing we tested the other day? What did I test? Oh, the Duramooses, of course, the Duramooses. We're out doing a video for that. So we're going to have some written articles and some podcasts coming for that here shortly. We might have some quad lock stuff here shortly as well. We'll see how we go with that. So plenty more happening to check out over on fullnoise.com.au for you to read. But that's it for this show. Thanks to TechnicMotorsport.com. Thanks to Duramoose, Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, Tech 167 3D Printing for the show support. We will see you in Marvel this weekend at the track.